Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star based on novel. So let's start. Little Feng. Luohuo and Gongshin Lan were watching the silhouette as he appeared on the screen, tears rolling down their faces, overjoyed. In front of an office desk, Shushin was watching the live broadcast from her computer. That silhouette that she had only dreamt about holding on to appeared on screen. She couldn't help but get excited, rubbing the steel ring, extremely elated. At this time, Shushin felt as though she had ascended to heaven. The entire world's citizens were in an uproar, and within the Washington headquarters city's plaza, the HR Alliance chairman Atki was extremely excited. Mr. Luohuo, when I found out about you being alive, I was extremely excited. I couldn't wait to let the rest of the world hear the news. However, now that I've seen you with my own eyes, I'm truly emotional. I, Atki, hate myself for not having done anything during the swallowing beast incident. And right now, even though that incident has passed, the threat of the sea creatures still remain. And Hong and Thunder God aren't around. Without a leader, the entire world's warriors are just like scattered sand. Now that Mr. Luohuo has returned, this is great. I hope Mr. Luohuo can lead us and continue to protect humanity against the sea creatures. I am willing to follow Mr. Luohuo into battle, to fight for humanity. Atki looked earnestly at Luohuo, his voice going through the microphone, resounding throughout the plaza, throughout every television screen, every computer screen. Luohuo looked at Atki. A knife blade became a beam of light. In the short distance, it cut into Atki's forehead. Even the black skin that appeared, the black godset, was instantly sliced through, straight into his brain, his consciousness, and spirit destroyed, the knife blade returning swiftly through the same route through the wound. The speed was extremely fast, so fast nobody on scene could see it clearly. Atki opened his eyes wide, as though he couldn't believe Luohuo would kill him in such a situation. His entire body collapsed on the floor, blood trickling out from the wound on his forehead. He was killed. He's dead. Chaos erupted in the plaza. The entire world's televisions and internet broadcasts had captured everything. The countless citizens all over were shocked. The broadcasts rewinded the footage and slowed down the scene. Most televisions had a limit to how much they could slow it down. 100 times. They could barely make out the shadow of the blade piercing through Gold Arthur's head and swiftly returning. Mr. Luohuo. Is it Mr. Luohuo? How can this be? If it's not Mr. Luohuo, who else could so easily kill Chairman Atki? The plaza was in a mess. Mr. Luohuo, explain why you killed him. A blonde female reporter didn't seem to believe that the hero she worshipped was capable of such an act. Luohuo's cold gaze surveyed his surrounding. His formless spirit aura placed pressure on everybody, causing everyone to go silent. Luohuo gazed down upon Atki's body, is scum, and deserved to die. He flew into the sky, swiftly vanishing from the broadcast. The group of reporters were left dumbfounded, before jumping to their sense. Viewers and friends in front of your televisions, Mr. Luohuo suddenly killed the HR Alliance's chairman Atki, after which, he only said, he is scum, and he deserved to die. There was no detailed explanation. As to the specifics of the situation, this station will investigate and report, a blonde pretty lady said towards the camera. Ever since Luohuo disappeared from the screen, the various television stations, or websites, all began to debate about the details of the incident. Luohuo stepped on the soaring shuttle and flew high in the sky. Surveying the endless ocean, a rare smile appeared on his face. You still have the mood to smile. Luohuo, you just killed Atki, that has destroyed your perfect image. You must know, as a hero, a man known as an unsurpassed genius, among the humans on Earth, 100% of all the discussions on the internet were all in favor of you. They worshipped you. Your image was of absolute perfection. Right now, that's all gone. What a pity. Barbata said, perfect. I was never perfect. Luohuo gave an indifferent smile. And I've never thought of being a perfect person. Whoever deserves to die, I'll kill him. Barbata couldn't help but think, this Luohuo repossession has definitely been influenced by the golden horned beast. His brutality and killing intent is much greater than before. However, I like it. At his house door, his father Luohuo, mother Gongshin Lan, wife Shushin, little brother Luohuo were all present, including the now able to stand twin children. Luohuo walked over step by step. His family's eyes were all wet and tearing. Call out to your dad. Shushin held the hands of the two children, who looked extremely alike. The two of them looked over and opened their mouths. Dad, Daddy, Daddy. Luohuo was so excited and emotional he cried. Since Luohuo's return in June, the violent undercurrents around the world suddenly halted. The greedy families didn't make any moves. Thunder Dojo and the Dojo of Limits returned to their original activities. The entire world seemed, for an instant, to be extremely united. No one dared to disturb that peace. This was Luohuo's influence. When Luohuo returned home, he first went to pay his respects to the 5 good friends that sacrificed themselves. Mo Henderson, Eastbourne, Tripothi Singh, Jiuyi and Solikov. Then, he went over to the Dojo of Limits headquarters, visiting Hong and Thunder God who were still in their comas. After, Luohuo organized a wedding with Shushin. All was at peace. Under the influence of Luohuo, this superpower, peace prevailed over the entire world. Year 2061 winter. Good Ping Ping, come, eat another mouthful. Good good. Luohuo carried a small bowl, going to feed his other son. Little Hai, come, good, right, eat another mouthful. Don't be mischievous, your older brother has eaten 3 mouthfuls. You've only eaten 1. Come. Luohuo looked lovingly at his son, coaxing him, feeding the children. On the sofa beside him, Shushin was personally knitting a sweater, smiling as she looked over. Luohuo, Luohuo. Barbata's voice resounded in his consciousness. Luohuo, carrying the bowl in his hand, was startled. What's up? That black dragon ship, except for a few assisting functions aside, everything else is ready. Even though it still cannot travel through universes, but it can at least reach sub-light speed, 100,000 km per second. Barbata said, in my storage space now. I'm currently fixing the assisting function systems, but the black dragon ship itself is ready for use. Didn't you say, the metal gathered on Earth was too little? There was no way to engage in the golden horned beast's training. Especially the deity of the world, there was no way to train at all. With the black dragon mountain ship, even though it hasn't exactly reached the speed of light, with 1 hour's time, it can reach Mars. You can totally eat breakfast in the morning, head to Mars, return in the night and have dinner. Barbata said. With such an explanation, Luohuo was more than anxious to go. That night, Luohuo informed his family. Year 2061, December 3rd, morning. After the family had breakfast together, Shushin drove to her office. Luohuo informed his family, Dad, Mum, I won't be here until the afternoon, I'll be back at night for dinner. Ping Ping, Little Hai, listen to your grandparents at home. He bent down to kiss his 2 sons goodbye, leaving the house. His body became a blur within the yard before vanishing altogether. High in the sky, Luohuo flew swiftly in the air, past the clouds, continuously heading higher. The sun above the clouds was getting increasingly glaring. Within one breath, he flew to 8,000 m above sea level, floating in mid-air. Barbata, get the black dragon ship out. Right, first initiate the cloaking, don't get detected by the satellites. Luohuo's thoughts spoke, relax, the number 1 ship in the Black Dragon Mountain Empire, if it was detected by Earth, that's what I'd call a big joke. Barbata said, at the same time, beside Luohuo up high in the sky, a huge black disc-shaped ship appeared. Its diameter was 100 m, on its wing, a huge dragon was imprinted. Luohuo took a deep breath. While a diameter of 100 m didn't seem too big, up close, it was still shocking. In comparison, it was even bigger than some high school soccer fields. Do I need to activate the scenic simulator? Barbata asked. It can simulate from 10% to 100%, no problem. Scenic simulator. Luohuo was startled. As the ship's body is entirely made from thick metal, one cannot look out normally with eyes to see the outside. That is why we require the scenic simulator. It's similar to your Earth's 3D projectors, however, it's much more detailed and powerful than that. Barbata explained, activate, 100%. Luohuo said directly. The entire control room's control board, chairs and floor totally vanished. The surroundings became that of the hazy ozone layer. The Black Dragon ship is currently flying within the ozone layer. It'll quickly, totally leave Earth. It has left. Barbata's voice resounded throughout the surroundings. With one glance, Luohuo could see the endless space, the vast space. Luohuo turned to look behind him. A large sky-blue planet appeared in his sight, Earth. Luohuo couldn't help but hold his breath. It was extremely, extremely beautiful. Even though this scene could be seen all over the internet or television, when one personally sat on a ship leaving the Earth and saw this scene, that tremendous and moving scene permeated all the way to one's soul. The sky-blue planet was getting smaller and smaller. The black dragon ship and the sky-blue planet were slowly getting further away from each other, Earth, the sun. Luohuo's gaze drifted behind Earth. Far away, there was a star that seemed to be on fire, the sun. That way, with just one swallow, the evolution multiplier would be raised to 89 times. Right now on Earth, there was nothing but normal or crude metal. Even what you all call gold is nothing but an A3 grade metal. Even what you all discovered on the moon, that blue gold metal, is but AA6 grade metal. Barbata said, there are no B grade metals at all. Luohuo nodded. This was also the reason for the golden horned beast's swallowing of bases. When it first reached the star level 1, it couldn't find any B grade metals. So it randomly ate some normal metal. Ship remains and metals, these categories of metals had the lowest efficiency. It was no different from eating normal metals, maybe just the volume was a little smaller. The golden horned beast's evolution, relying on the metal groupings, was the fastest way. However, even with normal metals, one could still train. However, the Luohuo was extremely helpless. Of the two secret techniques of the golden horned beast he had picked to train, and they relied on large amounts of training and comprehension. But the requirements were much more demanding, allowed the golden horned beast's physical form to enlarge or shrink. That's why, its training required the consumption of several metal groupings. After eating them, by relying on the complex groupings, they would be absorbed by the body and therefore change the golden horned beast's body structure and genetics. As a result, it can control its overall body size, it could be said. The main component for the training of relied on the consumption of metal groupings, and its direct swallowing straight into the stomach. Not swallowing into the internal world. The many complex groupings for, was even harder, more complex than the groupings for the evolution of the golden horned beast. Luohuo, we've almost reached Mars, the ship will begin to decrease its speed. Barbata's voice sounded. Luohuo looked over. The scenic simulation was at 10%, which allowed Luohuo to see in the distance a red planet. It was red with a sense of tangerine yellow, appearance-wise, it didn't look better than Earth. The ship swiftly pierced through into Mars' atmosphere. Obviously Mars' ozone was much thinner than Earth's. Barbata, get ready to open the cabin door. Luohuo immediately ran out from the ship's middle-level cabin. While running, the cloud contact vine armor began to extend, quickly covering his entire body, even up to his head, revealing only his eyes. The black disc-shaped ship slowly descended. While descending, the cabin door opened. A human silhouette flew out, his entire body covered in a red armor. A pair of cold eyes surveyed below. The gravity on Mars is really low. Luohuo could feel immediately the difference between Earth's and Mars' gravity pull. He immediately adjusted the magnetic field within his body generated from his miniature planets to suit the gravity pull of Mars. This is surveying below him. Luohuo could immediately see in the vast sand dunes and plains, standing tall far away, what seemed like a degraded enormous building, pyramid. 1 pyramid, 2, 3, Luohuo was shocked to see the pyramids. While they were degraded on the surface, their overall structures were still almost perfect. There were a total of 9 pyramids. There seemed to be no rule to their arrangement, however their construction was definitely uniform. Together, from a glance, they seemed to form one enormous pyramids, and below them Luohuo was extremely shocked. Cities. Below the pyramids, was the silhouette of an old city. One could almost see where the transport roads and pathways used to be along with the construction of several buildings. It was clear however, it was abandoned many years ago. Luohuo flew directly towards it before swiftly descending, landing in the sand-filled surface of Mars. It's been abandoned for a very long time. Luohuo looked at the crumbling fences and dilapidated walls, all the more filled with surprise and suspicions. Barbata, what's going on here? Why are you surprised? Barbata said, it's a normal occurrence, normal. Of course it's normal. This is a star field. Before being governed by its owner, it belonged to the Silver Blue Empire's territory. Barbata said, and Earth is but one of 2 planets with life within a 1,000 light-year radius. There is another. Luohuo was curious. The other planet with life is about 100 light-years away from Earth. Even at light speed, it would still require almost 100 years to reach there. Barbata said, only by reaching light speed and passing through the universe directly can one swiftly reach it. Luohuo nodded. Earth, as a planet of life, is but a low-level planet in the Silver Blue Empire. Naturally it's filled with many humans. Barbata said, its original use was a livestock planet, used to collect and breed powerful different kinds of monsters, selling them out for money after taming them. The population of humans was estimated to be a few million. They were all for raising and taming the livestock. Luohuo knew too. A planet with life was categorized into one with a large density of humans living, a holiday sightseeing planet, livestock planet, forestry planet, agriculture planet, industrial planet, etc. For example, some large powers in the universe would use a whole planet to build a whole industry on. Earth's breeding had many valuable monsters. It was one of the Silver Blue Empire's more important assets. That's why it arranged for interstellar fleet to be stationed there. Barbata said, of course. They also relied on the interstellar transport ships to transport large amounts of mining apparatus to the nearby mineral planets to dig and mine. Barbata said, back then, there were a lot of miners here on Mars working. As a result, they built this mining base. Later, the owner of the interstellar fleet was killed in one blow. No interstellar transport ships could come. The miners on Mars couldn't receive any resources. Even if they created their own resources, they couldn't maintain it for long. That's why, it's all gone now. Barbata said. Luohuo was shocked. So that was the story. This was a mining base. These pyramids are energy towers. Barbata said, these type of energy towers are based on the automaton race's more low-level models of energy sources. Their quality-price ratio is higher. With the use of these pyramids, the human races will never catch up to the automaton races. The automaton race is very advanced in their technology. Barbata couldn't help but say, the human races have no way to compete with them. For example, humans can only rely on evolution to step into the undying level, but the machinery races actually belong to the AI life forms. While they don't have souls, they can still possess the battle ability of the undying. Luohuo was shocked within. AI life forms, while they have human emotions etc., they were still AIs, without souls. Just like Barbata. The automaton race had no souls, and yet they were capable of producing undying fighters. Scientifically speaking, they were indeed very strong. A strong wind blew past, rustling up a large amount of sand. Luohuo stood on the ground. Barbata, scan for minerals. Luohuo said, activating mineral scan. The Black Dragon ship, which was floating in mid-air, immediately initiated its mineral scan function. A short time passed. Luohuo, Mars has wealthy deposits of black iron mineral resources. Barbata said, black iron. Right, translated into Chinese, you can call it black iron. Barbata said, black iron is an A8 grade metal. It's extremely sturdy. It's one of the best sellers in the universe. No B grade metals. Luohuo's eyebrows creased. His current self was a star-level golden horned beast. Swallowing B grade metals would have a higher efficiency. No. Barbata said excitedly, but the amount of black iron is large. Within them there should be quite a bit of black iron essence. Luohuo's heart skipped a beat. The black iron was A8 grade, the black iron spirit would be B8 grade, and the incredibly rare black iron essence would be C8 grade. Just like the Luohuo planet ship, almost all of the ship's body was made from the hybrid copper essence. This hybrid copper, by itself, was a D9 grade metal, the spirit would be AE9 grade and the essence was AF9 grade. A large black iron mineral, having one black iron spirit out of 10,000 normal black iron would be not bad already. A black iron essence, out of 10,000 black iron spirit would be not bad. The examples are extremely exaggerated. The black iron itself is very valuable. The Luohuo planet ship, which was built mostly from the hybrid copper essence, must have been crazily expensive. One hybrid copper essence alone would make a domain lord go crazy for it. However, the materials needed for the ship's repair, even in the vast territory of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire, couldn't be found. Luohuo, these 9 energy towers have a scan blocking function. They envelop a certain area, making it unable to be scanned. However, below the energy towers, there's an iron city. I can barely scan a small portion of the iron city. Barbata said, Iron City. Luohuo was shocked. Underground lay an iron city. However, the few 100m that I've scanned doesn't have any life. Let's go, follow the left 12 kilometers long tunnel to enter, you'll be able to reach the underground iron city. Mars' surface had a particular route, what seemed like a naturally collapsed enormous tunnel with a diameter of a few hundred meters. Luohuo immediately rushed into the tunnel, heading deeper underground, Iron City. Luohuo expanded his spirit energy, as a Star Traveler level 6 spirit reader. Expanding his spirit energy allowed him to cover more than a 6,000 m area. Luohuo landed on the ground. In front of him was a blurry mess of mud and dust. He could barely make out a black metal. Using his spirit energy, Luohuo had noticed early on, behind all the mud was an enormous city door. Number 1, push it open. Luohuo's thoughts moved, while he himself floated up and created a big distance between him and the door. A black metal robot appeared out of thin air. In strength, Luohuo couldn't match up to this black metal robot. Rumble, the black metal robot's strong arms were fiercely pushing against the enormous metal door. Using its strength, the metal door rumbled and slowly opened, large amounts of mud falling from it. Dust and sand filled the air. Dazzling beams of white light shot out, almost enveloping the entire metal door's surroundings. 7 to 8 dazzling beams of light shot straight onto the metal robot's body, knocking its entire body and slamming it into the tunnel walls, causing a large amount of mud to crumble. Luohuo was however far away from the collapse. Damn, this iron city is still operating. Luohuo was shocked. The scanning from my spiritual force showed that there isn't a single person in there. All that's left is dust. The 9 energy towers are still operating normally, hence the iron city is still able to operate. Even with the humans all dead, the iron city's work and power still hasn't vanished. Barbata said, Luohuo, enter. These kinds of urgently built iron cities, their defense can't be that strong. Also right now, the Cloud Contact Vine is a Star Traveler level 9, almost breaking into the star level. Back when Luohuo was battling the Golden Horned Beast, the Cloud Contact Vine was already a Star Traveler level 7. When Luohuo was nurturing his body for a little more than a year before, the Cloud Contact Vine was deep in the ocean, and Barbata was constantly feeding it Mu-Ya crystals. Before the year was up, it had grown to a Star Traveler level 9. The only thing was that it was trapped at the threshold, not crossing over into the star level yet. This speed, for such a specially cultivated Cloud Contact Vine, was not at all fast. Iron City. Luohuo moved in front of the metal robot, flying deep underground into the Iron City, resisting a single laser beam and rushing in. The Dark City. With Luohuo's spirit energy scan, he realized the density of clusters of buildings within the city was extremely high. Luohuo, almost the entire city, is made from black iron. Barbata said, quickly, follow what I said, first cut off the power supply, preventing some of this iron city's important structures from being damaged. Okay. Luohuo was very clear on the importance of cutting off the power supply. Left side. Make the curve, right side, yes. Barbata was directing, very quickly bringing Luohuo to a place where a large amount of metal pipes were densely gathered. Use the hybrid copper essence, cut them, all of them. Barbata said. Clad in the red Cloud Contact Vine armor, Luohuo looked at the pipes 100m in front of him, his thoughts moved. Xiao. A blood-red shard silhouette brushed past the pipes one after another, with Luohuo being a level 6 Star Traveler Spirit Reader plus his star level 3 soul strength, a total of 32 strong as steel threads of spirit energy surrounded the hybrid copper essence shard. The ear-piercing sound of the iron being slashed reverberated around. A large amount of sparks flew, an explosion from the metal beside. There's still 8 more energy towers. Barbata said, Barbata, lead the way. Luohuo swiftly flew. This was a mineral base. Since the destruction of the interstellar transport ship and the depletion of resources, along with the environmental impact, the miners were forced underground, relying on the large amounts of machinery to quickly build crude constructs for the Iron City. The most abundant material, the black iron, was used for most of the city. After so many years, the energy towers were still running and the city was still functional. It definitely deserved praise. A few minutes passed. All of the energy supplies to the Iron City were cut by Luohuo. It settled. Luo Feng, if my guess isn't wrong, all of the black iron essence dug out by the miners later should have been stored carefully somewhere. Let's begin our excavation. Whatever we deem valuable, we'll take it all. Barbata said. Luo Feng immediately flew within the underground iron city and began his big excavation. Mars, underground iron city. This underground iron city is pretty huge. Luo Feng, clad in his blood-red armor, used his spirit energy to sweep his surroundings, beginning his search in the ancient underground city. Luo Feng, head to the warehouse. Barbata said, the black iron dug out by the miners back then should all be safely stored in an important warehouse. Okay. Luo Feng's spirit energy expanded to a 6,000 meters area, spreading over several pathways, constructs etc. within the underground city. There were words all over these places. The words were in the universe language. With these wordings, within an instant, Luo Feng easily found the most important place in that iron city, the black iron ore and material warehouse. When Luo Feng descended upon the large warehouse, he couldn't help but get shocked and cursed quietly as a result. This was going to be troublesome. The warehouse in front of him had huge amounts of black iron, almost like a little mountain. It wasn't just the internal part of the warehouse that was packed full, even the outside courtyard was littered in black iron. Haha, back when the miners were trapped on Mars, even with large amounts of black iron they had no way to transport them out. The black iron thus became the least valuable of everything. The entire iron city is made from black iron, of course they would just casually dump it here. Barbata said, Luo Feng, search carefully, see if you can find any black iron spirits. Luo Feng looked at the little mountain in front of him and felt helpless. Using force to rush in. How would that work? The A8 grade black iron, just its sturdiness was difficult for a Star Traveler level 8 fighter to destroy. Luo Feng, using the soaring shuttle, would still find it difficult to break through. Breaking through earth and mud was extremely easy, but using his body to break through a little mountain of black iron. It was just like an ordinary person trying to break through the earth, extremely difficult. Collect. 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 Luo Feng's thoughts moved. A large amount of black iron vanished, another pile vanished. Using the storage space ring, Luo Feng swiftly collected a large amount of the black iron. Barbata, my storage ring isn't big enough, help me collect them, Luo Feng said. His own storage ring was only about 600 m long, 500 m wide, 100 m tall. The space was a little more than 30 million cubic meters. If he cramped everything in, it might still be possible. However, Barbata had his own storage space, why not make use of it? Sly Luo Feng. No problem, I'll take care of it. Barbata said easily. He watched with his naked eyes as the mountain of black iron swiftly vanished pile after pile. Within an instant, the outside of the warehouse, including the huge courtyard, which was littered with a little mountain of black iron, was cleared with everything being stored into Barbata's storage space. A total of 1.18 million tons, too little, too little. It can barely build a small interstellar battleship. Barbata said. Luo Feng laughed, striding towards the warehouse. With the black iron obstruction out of the way, the appearance of the warehouse was now visible. It was huge and rectangular, its big doors shut tight. Break. Luo Feng stared at the huge thick black iron door. The hybrid copper essence shard became a beam of light and violently slammed into the door, slicing through to the inside. It's really thick. Luo Feng could clearly feel the big usage of spirit energy. The hybrid copper essence could easily slice through the black iron, but because of the thickness, he still needed to expend quite a bit of spirit energy. Using half a minute, he finally managed to cut a hole big enough for a person to go through. Within the warehouse, the same old method was used, letting Barbata store the huge amount of black iron into his storage space, dark red color. Luo Feng's attention was brought to the distant little pile of dark red metal. From his huge amount of inherited memories, scanning through the black iron data, he deducted that the metal in front of him was black iron spirit. Finally found it. Luo Feng was excited. The golden horned beast's internal world currently required swallowing B-grade metals for its growth speed to increase. Barbata, check it out. How much black iron spirits are there? Luo Feng walked up to the black iron spirits. Sure. A liquid silver guard appeared out of thin air. It stared at the black iron spirits, its pupils glowing with light. it was obviously collecting information on the black iron spirits. Its volume is about 35 cubic meters. About a total of 1,200 tons. Barbata said, "Oh." Luohuo was about to commend him, 1,200 tons. Right now the swallowing beast can swallow about 100 tons of B8 grade metal every day, which means, this is enough for about 10 days. Key information. If the star level 3 golden horned beast were to swallow the grades of metal from Earth, it could swallow up to 100 million tons of metal. For example, the bases, they exceeded 500 m long and wide. These enormous iron bases, each one of them was about 10 million tons of metal. When it was at the star level 1, it required swallowing a few bases for it to be full. Now at the star level 3, its capacity has increased, requiring even more swallowing. At 8 grade metal, it required tens of thousands of tons a day. The B8 grade, however, close to 100 tons was about enough. Too little, too little. Luohuo shook his head. After collecting all the other black iron from the warehouse, he still didn't find any more black iron spirit. Barbata, the black iron spirit here is so little. Luohuo couldn't help but ask, "It's not little, it's the golden horned beast that swallows too much. 1,200 tons too little." Barbata said, "Of the elite bloodlines among the space beasts, every one of them is extremely powerful. The flame beast swallows stars. You, as a golden horned beast, may not swallow stars, but your requirements are still extremely steep. When you reach the sector lord level, you'll be swallowing E-grade metals. Swallowing that much, even your teacher, the master of Yunmo planet, would go broke from feeding you." Luohuo forced a laugh. That was right. As he grew, he required higher level metals. Unless Luohuo was willing to grow at the slowest speed, that would save a lot of money. However, to grow fast, just buying the pure metals would require a large amount of money. Let's continue searching. Let's see if there's any more black iron spirits in this iron city. They plundered the huge area. The entire city was made of black iron. However, the living quarters and some other places weren't. Over the long period of time, a lot of them had degraded. Plundering over the huge area, Luohuo would occasionally find small pieces of black iron spirits within the degraded living quarters. They were obviously kept by the miners. Each time, the portions would be small, but the amount and quantity added up. It actually added up to more than 1,000 tons. 32 minutes later, Luohuo kicked in a basement door of a dirty and degraded mansion. The dust flew off the door, revealing the door's original color, dark red. A black iron spirit door. If even the door is made from black iron spirit, what else would be in this basement? Luohuo was excited. Collect. Immediately storing the heavy black iron door that was at least a few tons into his storage ring. After, he walked into the basement that had been deserted for more than 100,000 years. The basement was extremely huge. My God! Luohuo stared. Within the enormous basement, large amounts of degraded weapons were neatly organized. What took up the most space was the pile of densely packed dark red metal. In size alone, it far exceeded what Luohuo had collected from the warehouse before. Also, in the center of the dark red metals, there was one piece of blood red metal. Black iron spirits. So many black iron spirits. In the center, is that the black iron essence? Luohuo was stunned. There's actually more stored here than in the warehouse. Barbata, hurry and calculate just how much there is. Luohuo said. Because of the effects from the pyramids, Barbata could only use the liquid silver guards, through their eyes, gathering the data and calculating. There's about 12,300 tons of black iron spirits. The C8 grade black iron essence is about 360 kilograms. Barbata said, "It's much more than the warehouse." Luohuo was very shocked. The warehouse's black iron spirits was about 1,000 tons in total. There wasn't any black iron essence at all. Luohuo, I suggest heading over now to the underground Iron City main monitoring office, connecting to the control AI system and checking up on the history of this place. Barbata said, I suspect, this underground Iron City, because of the miners being trapped for an extended amount of time, the internal political system may have changed. The black iron spirits and the places they are stored in may have changed too. All right. Luohuo agreed with what Barbata said. 5 minutes later. The black metal robot was working, directly linking into the Iron City's main monitoring system, because it had the support of the energy towers. its monitoring systems were totally functional until the point Luohuo cut off the power. Very quickly, they hacked in. I found the data. Back then, the Master destroyed the interstellar fleet with one move. There were a total of about 3.2 million miners trapped here on Mars. Through the universe network, they asked for assistance, even offering a reward for their rescue. However, after retreating underground and not receiving any assistance for a long time, the political system began to change. Among the miners, the ratio of men to women was 20-1. It's just like on Earth when the warlords fought for control. These 3.2 million people began an internal conflict. After all resources were limited, women were limited, beautiful women were even more limited. A few valuable black iron spirits, and the even more valuable black iron essence, were thus taken and stored by some powerful people in their own homes. However, the resources on Mars were limited. Collecting resources and creating food became increasingly difficult. This Iron City did not have the data required for building a universe ship. That's why they've always been researching building ships. Over a few thousand years, they finally painstakingly managed to build 3 small ships, sending some of their elites out from the planet to gather some hope for survival. Then, the remaining thousands of different races of people died in their sleep. This Iron City has been maintained for over 3,000 years, before it finally perished. Barbata explained. Luohuo sighed. Over 3 million lives, constantly struggling. Mars had such a deficiency in resources and with no replenishment, there was no hope at all. Luohuo, let's go. I have the map to the leaders and those with power. Their houses are all here, let's go to all their nests and check it out. Barbata said, okay. Luohuo's eyes lit up. They searched a total of 12 houses. From among them there were 8 nests that were totally empty. They were obviously powers that were attacked and eventually failed. The other 4 places, the rewards were all larger than the warehouse. Henceforth, the entire underground Iron City, Luohuo totally cleaned out all of the black iron spirits and black iron essences. In particular, the total amount of black iron spirits had reached about 33,600 tons. The black iron essence had reached about 2.34 tons. Over 30,000 tons of black iron spirits. It's just about enough for 1 year of swallowing. Luohuo stood at the Iron City entrance, looking back on the Black City. His mind was somewhat troubled. To make the golden horned beast grow faster, the price was extremely huge. When it reached the universe level, a universe-level golden horned beast, its swallowing power would be even crazier. These black iron essence wouldn't even be enough for 1 day's worth of swallowing by then. Thank you for watching.